I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast number 29. This one is with Trey Galyon. He's a nationally touring comedian, was in town for a show, sat down with him to talk. Super funny, super talented dude. We got into it, really good conversation. If you want to follow him online, find him at TreyGalyon.com, TreyGalyon.com. You can find all his tour dates and everything there, and outbound links to his social. On Twitter and Instagram, he's just at Trey Galyon. Yet again, this episode's sponsor is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a local graphic design, illustration, social media firm. They do work for all manner of client, large and small. Happy to take on all comers. I hear currently they're working on a website redesign. But if you'd like to find out more about Feral Giant, find them at feralgiant.com or any social media platform @/feralgiant. We appreciate them being a sponsor of this episode. Without much further ado, here's Trey. Are you originally from here?
No, my dad is.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Young High School.
Oh.
Yeah, he's from here.
That's back in the day.
Yeah.
What year did he graduate?
60.
Okay, never mind.
60 or 61.
Okay. Oh, wow, that's even further back. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
A former guest went there, but she went there in the 80s, so that would have been long before.
No, my one of my grandparents went there, and then the other one, I forgot what high school she went to, but it was over on this side of town.
Was it Fulton?
No, it wasn't Fulton.
Central?
Might have been Central.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your dad went to Young.
And my granddad.
And your granddad.
Yeah.
Did he move away and meet your mom? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
So what did he go to college? Did he go to the service? What led him away from Knoxville?
College originally, and then both of my parents work for it's called Church Dynamics, but it's a part of Campus Crusade for Christ.
Okay.
Basically, Bible studies on college campuses.
Okay.
So my dad was working at BU in Boston, and my mom was at UCLA.
Couldn't be further apart.
In Los Angeles. Correct, right. But then they do, Campus Crusade does a staff training every other summer in Colorado. And so everybody goes to CSU in Fort Collins, and that's where they do their staff training. So that's where my parents met.
Okay.
And then dug each other, but then they were still... my mom was still at UCLA and my dad was at Boston. Yeah. So they have all these little letters that they wrote each other and stuff. Nice. And then eventually, they got together, got married, and then they both ended up in Boston. And that's where me and my sister were born.
Okay.
It was in Boston.
What made him move back, retiring back to his hometown? Or?
No, not even. They're not retired, but it's kind of... they were living in San Diego prior to this. And then 4 years ago, my grandma died.
Oh, sorry.
And... So the house that my dad grew up in, it's sitting on 10 acres, but then it's surrounded by a bunch of land that one family owns.
Okay.
And they're not selling it anytime soon. So it was like, keep that land, because it's nice. It's surrounded by woods and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, keep that land that's been in the family for almost 100 years. Because my great granddad was the one who actually bought it.
Yeah.
You know, back in the early 1900s, or you know, sell it and you know, just move on with life.
Yeah.
And my parents talked about it, and they decided that they were gonna move back. Or,
nice.
You know,
and they're still working.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad still travels a fair amount. My mom, not so much. She does stuff with like she'll do stuff with, because she's Puerto Rican. So she speaks Spanish.
Okay.
So she'll do stuff with international ladies, you know, at churches around here.
Okay.
And then, yeah, my dad still travels a fair amount. He goes to India pretty regularly. And that's probably the only international stuff he's done recently. But then, you know, like Peru and Russia and all that, they've been all over the place.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you get to go on any of these trips?
Nah. They didn't start doing international work till after we all got out of the house. So I was like, cool, thanks. I mean, they drug us all over the country. I've been to pretty much every state almost, except for
You've been to
Alaska.
Billings, Montana, but
yeah, man. But I haven't been to Iquitos, Peru. You know, cool. Thanks for taking me to Billings instead of Peru.
Oh my God.
Man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd much rather see Mount Holly, New Jersey than Machu Picchu. That sounds awesome.
Much rather get shot at in Hoboken than
exactly.
escaping gunfire.
St. Petersburg, Russia? Nah, why would I want to see that? There's probably not much history or anything there.
No, there's nothing over there.
Sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, let's go to Missouri. Let's go to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
And let's not fly there. Let's drive there.
No, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Hot Springs, Arkansas. I have been to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a long drive. That was a very long drive.
Oh, yeah, because you got to go clear across Tennessee.
Yeah.
People don't realize how long Tennessee is.
Yeah.
It's not very tall, but it's long.
I joke that it's California on its side. That it's
pretty much.
And it's funny because I'll talk to people about being from here, and they're like, "Oh, I got some friends in Nashville." I was like, "It's a different state over there." It's like we have 3 states in one state. I was like, "It's not one thing." I was like, and a lot of people in Knoxville, if you talk to them about Nashville, they're gonna be like, "Screw them. I don't care about them," because those are rich, hoity-toity people over there, or hipsters now.
And West Tennessee is a whole nother story. That's basically just a giant truck stop, huh? Oof.
Memphis is interesting. Memphis, Beale Street wants to be New Orleans really bad.
Yeah,
really bad. Saw a lot of drunk. Last time I was there, saw a lot of drunken people trying to get girls take their tops off. I was like, what? No, dumbass, no. Also, this is like a block and a half long, man. You got to calm down. You got to calm the hell down. Oh God. Okay, so they didn't. Did you? Where'd you go to college?
I went to college, Colorado Mountain College in Steamboat Springs, and Austin Community College, and Texas A&M University.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, yeah. So I went to high school in Texas.
Okay.
We moved to Texas when I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
From Philadelphia area.
Okay.
And then and then I was like, I love the mountains. I love sliding on the snow and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to Colorado. And I went up to Steamboat and then failed out. Because I was in the mountains in Colorado. And
well, why bother?
Right.
Screw school.
Yeah, and they came back to Austin.
How many cities did you live in growing up?
Okay, so born in Boston, and then we lived in Lexington, Kentucky was next.
Okay.
So Boston till I was 2, Lexington, Kentucky till I was 5, then Orlando, Florida for a year, and then we moved to Philly. And then 1st grade through 8th grade was Philly. And then we moved to Austin, when I was a freshman in high school.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And was that Austin as it started to grow and be cool, or was it kind of still
It was small back then.
It's still hairy around the edges.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bigger than Knoxville.
Yeah.
But it was still that. Yeah, it was that place where, you know, if you went out, you were probably going to run into a handful of people that you know.
Same 5 people. Yeah. Whereas now you can't. I've got a friend that moved there, and he was like, "Oh, I had to sleep on somebody's couch for 6 months
to be
able to afford to live there."
Yeah. Rent's gone through the roof.
Yeah.
I have friends that are literally sitting on $1 million lots. You know,
I can't imagine.
Yeah, but it's like, even if you sell your house, I mean, you're going to pay $1 million for something else in the same town, so it's not like they're making money.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's a friend that her sister had a chance to buy a condo in Nashville because Nashville's gone that way too, where she could have bought it for like $1.3 million 6 or 7 years ago. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Why would? It's just half of a building. Like $1.3 million is crazy.
Yeah.
And then my friend was like, oh no, that she could have sold that condo for $4.2 million now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, I don't understand numbers because that makes no sense to me.
No,
it's a condo. It's a condo.
Exactly. No yard.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Probably so controlled it would drive me nuts.
Yeah,
like,
man.
You had music playing past 11 o'clock and we can't. No.
Yeah, rules and stuff. Yeah, you have to apply for things from a board. Yeah, you have to go before a board. And you're just like, I just want to leave my bike in the hallway. Yeah, no.
I ran into 2 guys when I was in New York, and we were talking about smoking cigars, and one of the guys lived out in Brooklyn, and he said that they were trying to enact an ordinance where he couldn't smoke in his backyard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
I said, I think someone would get shot if you tried to do that in Tennessee.
Yeah, literally.
Like, yeah, literally. It's like, that's when the redneck comes up, man. Like, just trying, why? And they were telling me about how the buildings in New York City proper now are all non-smoking because they can't get rid of that smell. So they're like, no, you just can't do it. You can't do it.
And there's other stuff, like there's a barbecue joint near my house, and they have to have certain charcoal filters on their exhaust system so they don't smell up the neighborhood.
Oh my God.
That kind of stuff.
You live in Brooklyn?
I live in Brooklyn.
Was it Dinosaur Barbecue?
No, not that one. It's a different one.
Okay.
I'm not going to say their name because I don't like them.
Oh.
I don't think they're good.
I didn't care for Dinosaur Barbecue.
Yeah, me neither. Their brisket's not awesome.
Yeah. My friend bought me some giant platter when I was up there. It's like, this is serviceable. Like,
yeah,
no
man.
offense, but this is
no, it's not. And everybody talks big about it, but that's like I lived in Texas for 20 years.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit of a barbecue snob.
Yeah,
I love barbecue.
Yeah,
so good. It's so good. It's so delicious.
Well, that's a weird thing about people around here. Somebody comes to town, they're like, "Where can I go for barbecue?" And I was like, Sweet Peas is good. I like the guys at Sweet Peas.
Yeah.
And their mac and cheese is to die for.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best. There's a guy who set up in a food truck under the viaduct on the weekends, of course, cut straight off the grill, Mr.
Right.
Liston. His barbecue is the best.
Word.
It's unbelievable. And he cooks everything fresh. He sets up 5 hours early and cooks everything fresh.
Yeah.
Like, he is legit. He does fried corn on the cob, for God's sake. But yeah, there's a lot of places. I was like, well, you can go here for brisket. Like, love that barbecue, go there for brisket. I was like, but a lot of the bigger places around here are awful. They're terrible.
Yeah. And even it's tough to find good brisket here, which I don't mind because I understand that. Pork.
Yeah.
Barbecue here is pork based pretty much.
Yeah.
A lot of pulled pork and ribs and that kind of thing. So to find good Texas barbecue here, like a good brisket, is really tough. We went. Where did we go? I forgot the name of the place we went the other day. That was pretty. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was outside of Nashville. Never mind.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, but I've tried a couple places here in Knoxville for brisket.
No,
and it's just no dice.
No. I'll agree on that. There's one place that a lot of people swear by that I won't name. That's just like No, it's terrible.
Is that the one over by the boat docks?
No, that's Sweet Peas.
Oh, that's Sweet Peas.
Yeah, they have a location there in downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their other stuff was good, but I didn't care for their brisket.
Brisket's okay. A lot of their times their daily specials are amazing.
Yeah.
Like smoked meatloaf and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really good. I love those guys, but no, the other place I'm thinking of, Dead End Barbecue on Sutherland, is terrible. It's terrible.
Well, thanks for the heads up.
And it's weird because I think it's all the affluent white West Knoxville people are like, this is barbecue. I was like, no. Okay, so you went around for college.
Uh-huh.
This is going to be a dumb question, maybe. Did you have an inkling early on that you were pretty funny, or did that just kind of come later?
No, yeah. I mean, like I always wanted to be a comic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah, you know, I mean, the whole class clown thing is dumb. It was just like I just enjoyed making people laugh.
Yeah.
And tended to be better at it than everybody else. But it was the whole, well, you finish high school and you go to college and then you get a job and then you blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I didn't even really think about comedy till my late 20s, and then I started writing stuff. And that was after, failed out of college a couple times and got fired from a bunch of office jobs and stuff, and was like, well, this is not gonna work for me. And so I actually started writing stuff in notebooks. Okay. And so it was 2 years. I was writing stuff in notebooks for 2 years before I got up the nerve to go up at an open mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there anyone around that time that you were watching that was kind of coming up that may be more well-known now that you caught in smaller venues?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it depends on how knowledgeable you are in the comedy community. But yeah, like Todd Glass, Greg Giraldo. I got to work with those guys. Ron White I got to work with before he was super big, and he's great. So there was a few. I lucked out when I started out. Okay, and because the comedy scene in Austin was pretty small. Oh, and really? So I got to work with a lot. I got to work with Mitch Hedberg and
my God,
a bunch of dudes like that.
Okay. So you started open micing in
Austin.
Oh, in Austin, and it was a small comedy scene there.
Yeah, at the time,
which is interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was like right after Austin Stories. I don't know if you remember that show on MTV. So it was like Chip Pope and Laura House and Howard Kramer. Were like the big dogs in the Austin scene at that time.
I didn't realize Howard Kramer was from Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was them and a handful of other comics.
Yeah. Which is interesting. Well, but it's the whole route of the comedy boom and then the down era. Because I've heard stories about the Comedy Store in the early 2000s about how just dead it would be in there. But it's in the 80s you had big ones coming from Texas, Hicks and Kinnison.
Yeah.
They all came from that era. You would think it would be mined more, but I guess because the boom kind of busted.
Totally. When I started, it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool at all.
Yeah.
And then what was really weird was when new guys would come in, new comics would come in that moved to Austin from somewhere else. And by somewhere else, I mean far away, not just like from Dallas or Houston or something. But that was really weird to me because we started getting comics from like Chris Fairbanks moved there from Montana. Oh, yeah. Brendan Walsh moved there from Philly. There were a couple comics that moved there. Jim Hamilton and Michelle Balloon moved there from Wisconsin. Things like that.
Not to L.A., to Austin.
Yeah. David Huntsberger spent some time there. And he came in from Nevada. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a trip. And so it wasn't a huge group, but It was people
talented
from
group.
all over
It was
the
a
place.
talented group.
And it was people from all over the place. Carrie Lindo from Philly too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did everybody kind of stick around and let it kind of grow a little bit, or did it hit a point to where people were like, okay, now I'm going to LA, or okay, now I'm going to New York?
Well, I mean, yeah, eventually. Yeah.
But they did help grow the scene kind of.
Yeah, because what happened was, like, Howard Kramer and Chip Pope and Laura House, that whole crew went to L.A.
Yeah.
And so then my crew, and yeah, I mean, we hung out. The scene was so small. We all hung out together all the time, you know? Go to open mics, go to shows, go hang out at shows. Even if we weren't on them, you know, just go to the club and hang out with the other comics that were coming into town, you know, because that's half the education in comedy is just watching guys that you like, you know, and watching their style and how they work a room and all that. Dude, it was so much. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Okay. And then they all, every single one of those assholes moved to LA, and I was the only one that moved to New York.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I rolled into New York knowing nobody. I mean, I knew Ted Alexandro and Greg Giraldo, you know, the guys that had come through Austin, and I knew, but it wasn't like, you know, I mean, I'd hit up Ted to go hang out, but then, you know, so then I had to start meeting all the comics up there.
Where did you start in New York? Where did you start going? Did you have a club on the regular, or did you kind of bounce around?
I was just kind of, at first it was wherever Ted was playing. So I'd hop around and, you know, and hang out at Gotham Comedy Club, and every once in a while the Cellar, but that was still super intimidating because that was, you know, back when it was still like Colin Quinn sitting at the big table and those guys,
the tough crowd guys.
Yeah, they were all super cool to me, you know, but it was still very, you know, like I felt like, hey, you know, I haven't earned this yet or anything. So I'll go hang out over here. But and like Caroline's and stuff. But then that's the thing is, you start meeting other comics, and then you find out about the, you know, the bar show circuit or whatever,
the
you want
laundromat
to call
shows
it.
Or stuff like that.
Man.
Yeah,
Luckily, I've never had to do a laundromat, but a lot of ambush shows at bars, you know, where you're like, hey, we're gonna start a comedy show, and everybody's like, what? I just came here to drink, man.
Turn off the football game. I know it's fourth quarter and it's 1 point game, but we're going to do a comedy show. We're going to make you chuckle.
Well, what's funny is then when it actually happens to you, you know, like I was hanging out at a bar with one of my friends who produces shows. She's not a comic, and we were just sitting there, and this kid rolled up, you know, and was like, hey, we're gonna start a comedy show, and we both looked at each other like, all right, let's finish this drink and get out of here. Yeah, and it's like, oh, now I know how it feels. The other side. Hey.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know I'd get ripped apart, but I would love to have been able to just be a fly on the wall of that table during the tough, because I would watch Tough Crowd every single night. Like, my buddy Sean Pointner and I talk about Patrice about once every month now, because they're like, with everything going on with Trump and everything, it's like, I wish he was here, because I can't imagine what he would be saying during all this. It would be insane. Good. It'd be insane. And that, were people still pretty much packing in the clubs at that point, even though it was kind of a quiet time in comedy?
In Austin?
Or in New York, and like the Cellar and Gotham.
Oh yeah, because I moved there in 2008.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
it was starting to come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, Austin was touch and go.
Yeah.
You know, if there was a big name comic, you know, then the club would fill out. But that's what I'm saying is, like, when I started, you know, Greg Giraldo rolled in. Nobody knew who he was. Yeah. You know, Todd Glass, nobody knew who he was.
Or even around that era, like, you think it's somebody like a Brian Regan or Jim Gaffigan that's huge now. And back then it was like
nobody
crickets.
Knew who Gaffigan was back then. Yeah. And even Ron White, you know.
Yeah.
He was one of the first guys I opened for at Cap City. And back then, you know, he was just this old road dog from Texas that was living in Mexico, you know, and doing the same act for however many years. But he was great. He's so good, so smooth, and, you know, could work a room. And then that Blue Collar tour hit, and boom.
Yeah. I've heard him tell stories about, like, kind of how how that got pulled. Like he would open for Jeff sometimes on the road, and there was one interview I was seeing with him where he started crying a little bit because he was just like, Jeff knew. He was like, there's not a nicer guy than Jeff Foxworthy. He's like, I was down and out. I was not doing good.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, come on, we're going to go do this thing.
Yeah.
And they did it. And he was like, that saved my life. You know.
And let me tell you, Ron White has given it back 1,000%.
I've heard a lot of comedians, LA comedians, are like, oh, even the open micer or something that comes in, he'll sit there and talk to him. He's like, he does not care. Like
No. The first time I met him, he talks to you like he's known you for 20 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he's helped out so many Texas comics because what happened was that, after that Blue Collar tour hit, then there was such a scramble to get those guys on anything, and they all needed new material. Yeah. And so he paid a lot of guys rents in those years writing stuff for him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he helped out. He's helped out a lot of dudes. Ron White is one of the best, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Okay, so how long were you in the Austin scene there?
Before
you decided to move on to New York?
8-9 years.
Okay.
I started in like 99, 2000, around there.
Okay.
Yeah. 99, New Year's Eve 99 into 2000 was my first opening spot at Cap City, the club there in Austin.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Shannon brothers, T-Shawn and Charlie Shannon.
I don't think I know them.
T-Shawn Shannon wrote for Conan for a while.
Okay.
He's written on a bunch of stuff. And then Charlie's super funny. He passed away a few years back. But another one, just incredible writer and super funny dudes. But Houston guys.
Okay.
Yeah, originally from Houston.
Okay. Did you ever, in the era that you were in Austin would have been also the time that like Last Comic Standing and all that stuff started. Did you ever try out or think about that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We drove up to Dallas one time and, stood in line and went up there. And it's not really my style.
Right. Right.
I'm not like my theory on comedy contests they shouldn't exist.
Right.
Comedy's subjective.
Right.
What I think's funny is not what you think is funny.
Yeah.
So who's going to judge that? But went up there and did my thing and it was funny because one of the guys, after they're like, thank you. And I forgot what I had said, but it was something like, yeah, whatever. And one of the guys kind of caught my tone and he was like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. I understand that you don't like this process, but keep doing what you're doing. So that was comforting, but then never did it again and never got asked to do it. I never got asked to be one of those, people that could skip the line or whatever. Yeah. So I just didn't mess with it. I just didn't feel like being a part of it. Had some friends that did it. It
was weird. Like I watched the first, I think 2 or 3 seasons, but it was just, I don't know. I liked comedy too much. Like I actually like their interactions like in the house more than I liked watching them get up and do comedy.
Sure, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All that stuff was it Todd Glass, what was it that first season? It was like
the first season is funny because Rob Cantrell is a really good friend of mine. He's in New York now. And then it was Ralphie May, who's a Houston guy. And then
Dat Fan, of course.
Dat Fan, who was out of San Diego.
Yeah, Tammy Pescatelli.
And
Kathleen Madigan.
No.
Oh, I thought
she wasn't on season 1. And I don't think Pescatelli was either.
Maybe they were season 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one with Todd Glass and maybe Ant.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I think Ant was on the same one as Todd Glass. And then, but then a kid that I went to high school with, Sean Kent, was on there. And he was one of the, that made me laugh because he was a year or 2 younger than me in high school. And he was the theater nerd. It was a private school that I graduated from. Okay. And, his mom was the theater lady. So he got all the lead roles and everything. And then he's the kid that moved to L.A. after high school to be an actor. And I guess that didn't work out. So he was like, let me try this.
Let me try this comedy thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's never... I'm just... Yeah. No, he's... I've never run into him since.
Yeah.
So, I hope that he's doing well and all that.
Wish him all the best.
Yeah.
We wish him all the best.
Yeah. But he never came through Austin doing comedy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. After that show, even.
Really?
Yeah. Like I never. That's what I'm saying. I never saw him around. So, whatever.
That's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. Because
yeah. The Last Comic Standing was always weird to me because a lot of those people were so, in my mind. But you talked about earlier the level of knowledge about comedy because a lot of those I was like, oh yeah, I know who this person is. I've seen them on Caroline's or something, some TV show, half-hour comedy hour on MTV. And it's like, and they're competing, like they're all amazing. Like, why in the hell would they?
Well, and that was the other thing. You found out really quickly that it wasn't, this nationwide talent search looking for the next big thing. It was all comedians that were repped by certain agents and agencies that got on the show. And you're like, oh, okay, I see how this is working.
I think Crasher's talked about that on his podcast a time or two.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, it's amazing. They're all repped by, why am I blanking on his name? Barry, what's his name? Some agent guy that they were like, oh, they're all repped by him, and they magically made it. Oh, I see how that is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I've had friends on there, and awesome for them. Like Todd and Chris Porter, and a lot of those guys. It really helped their careers. And hey, right on, man.
Yeah, but I just laugh at like some weirder comedians, or even normal comedians that are not the norm. Somebody like Maria Bamford or Kyle Kinane, I was like, I would love to have just picked them up and put them in the middle of that chaos and see what that would have created. Yeah. Like, that would have been hilarious.
Oh, for sure.
That would have been better television for me. Maybe not for them, but that would have been really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to New York and you started performing regularly around there.
Yeah, just at bar shows and
just
stuff
at bar
like
shows.
That. Yeah.
And isn't the Bell House is a club though, right?
No, Bell House is
not a comedy club like
it's a venue.
Bands play there and everything. But I hear a lot about shows going on at the Bell House.
Yeah, that's near my place. That's walking. That's stumbling distance.
That's in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
Is that the one where
near the Gowanus?
When you walk in off the street, it has all like plush couches and stuff? Or am I thinking of another venue?
No, you're thinking of Union Hall. Hall. It looks like a library. Yes. It's got all the bookshelves and everything.
My friend took me there for a beer.
Bocce.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. She took me in there for a friend of mine from high school, or growing up, essentially. She moved to Brooklyn and was a lawyer. And when I went up there, I visited her, and she just took me on a day trip of everywhere. Like, we met in the morning, went antiquing with the girl she was dating at the time. I was like, "Oh, is this your girlfriend?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, yeah, she's about 15 years younger. Good for you."
Good for nice.
You. And but yeah, she took me a bunch of different. She took me to Dinosaur Barbecue, but but yeah, but she was like, "You'll like this." I was like,
this is going to become a barbecue podcast.
No, and then
don't go to Dinosaur Barbecue if you go to New York. Go to Hill Country Barbecue. They ship their wood up from Texas.
Dinosaur Barbecue. Oh, I didn't mention they're a sponsor of this podcast.
No.
But we ended up hooking up with her best friend's husband, just hanging out with him and his brother. And he and his brother are from Mexico. And he was working as a chef or a cook up there somewhere. And he ended up just hanging up with her. I can't hear my accent because I meet people down here that I need Google Translate to understand what the hell they're saying.
Right.
People from Maynardville.
Right.
You know, like, we're gonna go up there and go around the creek and blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know what the hell you just said. But that guy was just like, you have a very distinct. I was like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
Trust
you
me.
do.
I know. But I told him I don't hear it, but I can dip into it. And I got into a problem with the dude up there. One of the times I was in New York, who kind of got in my face, a homeless dude, who's a big dude, but I'm a bigger dude.
Yeah.
And he got in my face, and I just got a little closer and went, Bubba, I reckon we're fixing to have a problem. Like that. And I told that to that dude, and he was like, what are the words fixin' and reckon? I don't know those words. So he kept trying to say those words, reckon. And his brother's like, you're a dumbass.
He's pulling out his Spanish to English dictionary. Like, yeah, that's nowhere in here, dude.
Fixin' and reckon.
Yeah.
But he kept saying that. He took me to a Mexican, like, it almost looked like a deli, and I had a torta for the first time, and it was unbelievable. And then we went to his baby mama's new baby's christening and a walk up in Asbury Park, to where my friend and I were the only two white people in there. And I think him and his brother, and then the wife were the only ones who spoke English in there.
Oh, wow.
And there was a mariachi band where the guy had a full bandolier of bullets on his straps. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever been to in my life. Yeah, like, this is tiny little room trying to give us platefuls of food, like
that food
the
so
nicest
good.
people in the world, like giving us beer and stuff. And I was like, what the hell are we doing here, man? This is not where I expected to be. I turned to her when we were leaving. I was like, when we were going to Fulton and, worried about getting shanked in the neck with a pencil,
yeah,
did you expect that we'd be here like 20 years later? She's like, nope. Never thought in a million years we'd be here.
Right.
It was crazy. But I'm dumb. I was surprised at how spread out Brooklyn was.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I went to Doe to get donuts because I'd heard about it, and it was amazing. And some cigar shop up there that was okay.
Yeah, I'm a donut freak.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doe is great. They're humongous. For
Yeah.
anybody out there, they're humongous.
They're cash only, though. You got to walk in with cash, or do they take credit card now?
Yeah, they're cash only.
Yeah.
And but they'll have them, like some bagel shops will carry them.
Yeah.
And just have a case of Doe
Okay.
donuts. But they're humongous, and they're fluffy donuts. They're not
Yeah.
cake donuts.
The kid that was working in there had me in high school. I went up. I was like, hey, man, I just want to tell you, I've had a lot of donuts. This is amazing.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, did you try this one? And I was like, no. He's like, here, you need to try it. And he picked it out of the case and handed it to me. I was like, no, man. I was lifting up my hand. He's like, your mouth says no. Your hand says yes. I was like, damn it, give me that damn donut.
Yeah.
I ate it in 2 bites. And he was like, did you really eat it that fat? Well, it was one of the smaller ones.
Oh, okay.
I ate it in 2 bites. He was like, did you eat it that fast? I was like, man, we don't fuck around in the South, man.
Throw it down. Look, buddy, you put food in front of me, it's going in my big hole in a hurry.
God damn it.
Damn.
It was amazing. Now, have you been to Status Doe since you've been here?
No.
Bearden Hill.
Bearden Hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple fritters are amazing.
Is that between here and South Knoxville?
No.
Oh,
sorry. South Knox. There's nothing.
Status Doe.
Status Doe.
All right.
They're about to, if you're going to come back anytime in the next 6 months, they're going to open up a shop downtown.
Okay.
Which will be murder. But, oh yeah, donuts, I'm diehard. Like,
Yeah, man. So good.
there's a place outside of Memphis in West Memphis, Arkansas called, shoot. Of course I'm going to forget. It's a regular name like Harry's or whatever.
Right.
And they have a Texas-sized donut that's that big. And all their donuts are stupid cheap. Like,
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Now that's the other thing is like I don't do these $4 or $5 donuts.
Yeah.
Forget it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that. Like, to me, a donut is still from some little mom and pop place. Where they have like good apple fritters and stuff like that. Like, you don't need I don't need a fancy donut. Donut plant in New York, I won't go to.
I ended up going there after Doe, and I was like, this is okay. This is not as good as I'd
Because there's no, like, my buddy got me a peanut butter and jelly donut from there.
Yeah.
And it was horrible because it was natural peanut butter, and that's like Jif Creamy. Throw some Jif Creamy in there.
Yeah.
And then they use strawberry, not blackberry or grape.
That's weird. Yeah.
And then it was the glazing on it was some natural whatever. It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It was too hoity-toity.
Yeah, man.
Well, out in Halls, there's a Dippin' Donuts that it was used to be on Kingston Pike all the time, and it was a couple owned a Dunkin' Donuts franchise, and then Dunkin' Donuts said, we don't want to be here any longer. He's like, okay. He just kept all the recipes. Opened up a Dippin' Donut, so it's all fat and lard, and it's cheap as shit. And they have a banana pudding donut that is jelly filled with just banana pudding filling, and then they crumble Nilla wafers on the top.
Yeah.
It's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a place out in Maryville too.
Not Richie Cream.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Really?
And I got told it's because I went at 10 in the morning instead when they first opened up. I was like, it should be good whenever.
No, for real. Yeah,
it should be good whenever.
Yeah, I got a fritter from there, and I liked it.
I think I just got straight donuts, and I was like, this is okay. This is okay. There's a new place out west called Pop's Donuts that everybody tells me I need to check out.
Okay.
And there's a place in dude, I got them. There's one in Sevierville called Courthouse Donuts. It's really good.
Yeah, you'll have to DM me
somebody.
Yeah, because we have to go back out to Sevierville. I haven't gotten my... we were out there the other day, but didn't get to stop by the Dolly Parton statue.
Yeah.
And that's become a tradition for me, is to...
And that's downtown.
Climb up on it. It's right next to the courthouse.
Yeah, so Courthouse Donuts right around there. They were one of those, it's almost like Duck Donuts in that they pre-make all their donuts, and then you get to choose toppings and stuff on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and they have a ton of stuff. My friends own a coffee cart, and they go up there, I think, every Friday and set up and sell coffee and donuts. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll be going up there the next couple of days. So yeah, you're gonna have to DM me. You're gonna have to text me all these donut spots for real.
I will say Status Dough is a little more high end.
But it's good.
It's good. And the guy it's a couple, and then the cook guy, and the cook guy is from Chicago, and he's one of the ones he worked at one of the big ones like Fire Cake or something like that.
Yeah.
And then started another one. And then decided he wanted to move down here, and he started Status Dough.
Yeah. Now, I like dough. It's like a $3-4 donut, but that thing is huge and good.
Yeah.
So I don't mind paying.
The fritter is like that big, like the size of my hand. Like yeah, it's good. Oh my god. Yeah, this is just a food chats with Trey and Jerry.
Man.
Okay, so in New York,
in
2008, and you're kind of going around to the open mics and bar shows. Do you kind of stay there, or when do you start kind of like touring around? Or
well, I'd always kind of toured around.
Okay.
Out of Texas.
Okay.
Because out of Texas was pretty easy.
Yeah.
There were a lot of places where you could drive to.
Yeah.
Especially back then when gas was cheap.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, all the little border towns had, little one-nighters and stuff you could go do. And then, so I've been on every inch of I-35 and I-10.
Okay.
And then, so when it got to New York, spent most of my time there, and then, had a handful of clubs that I liked doing that I would do every year.
Right.
Like I'd go back to Austin and do Cap City and the Velveeta Room, and Skyline in Appleton, Wisconsin was on the list. Where else? Helium in Philly.
Yeah.
So and those were the clubs that I liked because they're solid clubs. Management was good.
Yeah.
There was always the same staff there because the clubs were good and run well. Oh, Go Bananas in Cincinnati was another one. So those were the kind of the places I was comfortable with. And so stuck to that, and then a few years back started doing stuff from time to time with, Doug Benson would ask me to go do shows with him and stuff, and still doing that.
Okay.
Anytime he calls, I'll go do that.
It is weird because he's so known for Doug Loves Movies now.
Right.
Like when he lists off his clubs dates on every episode, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. He still does stand up.
Yeah.
Like, I think Doug Loves Movies is so prominent.
Totally. And I'd like to think that like me and Tate might have something to do with him doing a few more stand-up dates now.
Yeah.
Because he is such a funny writer.
Yeah.
And I think people may have forgotten that because of Doug Loves Movies and all that.
Yeah.
But he is one of the best comics out there. And so it was just kind of us being like, you should do some more stand-up dates. Or it's like, hey, if you got any stand-up dates you need me to, come along with you with, you know, and then
that's awesome.
Oh, look, he'd start booking a few here, a few there. Yeah.
How'd you first meet him?
It was Austin.
It was Austin.
Yeah, okay. Man, that's what I'm saying. The scene then was so cool because not only was it a small scene and we all hung out together, but it was like there was just the Velveeta Room and Cap City.
Yeah.
So that's where we hung out, man. And so any comic that came into town that was worth a shit, was cool and would just hang out. So we'd go watch their show. After the show, they'd be like, "Well, what was there to do in this town?" And it'd be like, "Well, come with us." And so we got to hang out with all these guys.
Okay.
So that's how I met Doug. Originally was just shows in Austin. Yeah, and then we'd go hang out afterwards. And
I still remember when I first saw him was on all that like I Love the 80s and Best Week Ever and all that stuff. And I didn't know he was a big stoner or whatever until then he started releasing the documentaries about himself. I was like, oh, I had no idea.
Back then, that's what everybody knew him from was Best Week Ever and all those VH1 shows.
It is weird that at the same time you could get, Tough Crowd and you get all those rough guys and then you get Best Week Ever and you get people like him and Paul F. Tompkins.
Right.
And it was weird group of like, there's a lot of good comedy out here. Just nobody's seen comedy enough now. Like how weird that is. Or
dude, Paul F. was another one of the best, funniest, weirdest, awkwardest. We took him to a house party in Austin one time after a show. So he's got his full on pinstripe suit on and everything,
Yeah.
And we roll into this house party and it was just, I don't think people knew what to think. And, we just strolled straight into the backyard and ended up standing in the corner of the backyard for a while, just our little group, the whole time we were there. And every once in a while, somebody would come up and be like, "Hey, aren't you Paul F. Tompkins?" And he'd be like, yeah, man, picture, okay. And then they'd, but it was so
hilarious.
Weird. Yeah.
He's got spats on.
Yeah, dude. But it was so great. And he's such a nice dude. He's awesome too. Yeah. He's one of those just genuinely good dude.
It is weird. That seems to be a turning point now. It seems to be you hear more people are great guys, great men or women in comedy that are happy to talk to people, happy to do whatever. Like one of the guys I like the most, Bert Kreischer, now he's about to do an actual theater tour, and he was like, I got to figure out a way to do. He's doing like some nights 2 or 3 shows a night.
Yeah,
he's like, I want to do meet and greets in between shows, but I can't physically figure out how to do it.
Right,
but I want to make sure to do it because you all are supporting me, and I appreciate. You hear that I think a lot more now,
dude. Like I did shows with Steve-O in Philly.
Yeah.
He's the same way. He will sit there and take pictures or shake hands with every single person there.
Yeah.
Kreischer, I did a Doug Loves Movies with in Pittsburgh. That was the first time I'd met him. And that was probably, that room was at least, it was probably between 300 and 400 people.
That wasn't the hamburger night, was it?
No,
that was Tate.
We talked about it on the show, but that wasn't the hamburger night. No. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But after that, he, he stuck around and talked to everybody. Like, we were up in the green room forever, because that's like, I'll stick around and say hey to people after the show. Yeah. People don't know who I am. I'll get a couple of people that want to say hey to me, and then my obligation is fulfilled. And so I'll go smoke weed in the green room or whatever. And we were up there forever. Like, where's Bert at? Well, he was still downstairs just talking to people.
Yeah.
Such a good dude. Yeah, man.
Well, and even the last time Bill Burr came to town, he played the Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
I think he did 2 shows that night. And I went to the second show and he was like, yeah, we're probably going to find a bar and hang out afterwards if y'all want to hang out. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, I'm going to go post up in Clancy's right next door because that's probably where he's going. And then I walked out, and the line for the meet and greet started at the table at the front door and went all the way back into the theater. I was like, he's not getting out of here.
Yeah.
I was like, it'll be 3 a.m. before he gets out of here.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell he's going and grabbing a drink anywhere. Like yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are really great. And I mean, there's still some dudes out there that don't do that.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah, there are some people I don't understand.
Yeah.
Or I understand, but I don't. Or, yeah, I'm going to say people because, yeah, there's a couple of comedians and I'm like, I don't understand how you're successful. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me.
And Doug is great too. He's just been doing it for so long, and sometimes has to deal with so much nonsense. Like that is really, you get kind of a scope of it when you do some road shows with him, and you're just walking around the town on a, just during the day, just doing normal stuff like finding a place to eat or whatever. But it's pretty incredible the amount of people that recognize him and come up and say hey to him. In places where you'd be like, wow, how I don't understand.
Yeah.
But so he's one. He'll come out and smoke with everybody and say hey to everybody. But he usually will wait a second.
Yeah.
Like I'll go out there after a Doug Loves Movies and I'll talk to people, and then you get a text from him and it'll be like, hey, what's it like out there? And I'll be like, yeah, man, come on out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he kind of likes to test the waters a little bit.
Make sure it's not. Yeah.
And it's like, and that too is like, especially for certain shows, depending on where they're at, like if they don't have a back alley situation or whatever, he likes to kind of chill out and just let the hardcore kind of like see who's left. Who's left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are so many. They're like, oh, if he's there, I'll stop. But if not, I'm walking the hell away.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Mankind came here and did a spoken word, told road stories and stuff, and his diehards were diehards. Like we were lined way back into, and by the time we got to him, it was the second show of the night, and you could just tell he was done. And my buddy and I were like, damn it.
Yeah.
We should have gotten up a little earlier and gotten closer to I don't know how a lot of those people do it. Like,
I mean, I don't either. I mean, I'd like to say that I'd be one of those, if I ever got that level of fame, that I would do the same thing. I mean, sit there and just say hey to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the reson you're where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're
all there. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, we can sit here and pat people on the back. All the
yeah, right. This isn't about that. This is about me. Damn it. Let's talk about me some more. Damn it.
Or donuts.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Much rather talk about donuts than me. All right, go.
So you're living in Brooklyn.
Yep.
You're touring around. And you're kind of, what are you considered at this point? Like when it comes to like Doug, you're a middle, you're, yeah.
I'm starting to headline a few of the bigger clubs.
Okay.
I've been headlining the smaller clubs and stuff for a while.
Okay.
But the bigger clubs, I'm just now starting to headline a few of them here and there.
Okay.
But like when you do stand up with Doug, what's great is like it's just me and him.
Okay.
It's just him and whoever he brings with him. So he'll go up and he'll do like 20 minutes up front of just like crowd work and reading tweets and stuff like that and saying hey to people. And then he goes, hey, brought my buddy with me. You guys are going to love him. And then I'll go out and do like 25, 30.
Okay.
And then bring him back up. And then he does a stand-up set and closes it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how, like when you're doing a headline gig, is that 45 minutes to an hour?
Yeah.
About
45.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you getting to also pull people that are younger than you to come perform with you?
It depends on the show.
Yeah.
Like and the club, like the Velveeta Room in Austin, I can tell them and be like, "Hey, I want these guys on the bill with me."
Okay.
So there's a couple of places like that where I can do that. Otherwise, I'll just there are a few other guys, bigger guys that like to do this too, which is nice. But it's just like, yeah, and the other gigs, it's just like I would rather them just pull whoever.
Yeah.
Because I don't know people around that scene.
Yeah.
And maybe you're giving some kid a chance, or some kid who started recently and this is his first gig and he's all excited about it. Like, hey, this is my first opening gig.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take that away from somebody.
And you're getting to see local talent that you wouldn't normally get to see because you don't live in that city.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Cleveland a couple years ago. I went and saw Nikki Glazer at one of the clubs, and there was a local guy opening for her, and he ended up being really good.
Yeah.
But it was funny because he was a big, giant dude, just a beefy dude. And I went to him after the show. I was waiting to just say good, because when I walked out, she was just standing there. I was like, oh, shit. Okay, well, I'm a fan, so I'm going to say hi, and, it's a great show. And I went up to him and said, like, man, you're really good. Like, I did not expect, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, whatever. And just kind of schlepped it off. And I was like, oh, man, dude. And we'll go, don't do that.
Yeah. Well,
look at her. Look at what she's doing. She's the main act, and she's saying hi and being polite to everybody. Dude, come on.
Yeah.
You got to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, man. That's it's hard for me to take a compliment.
Yeah.
But you could still, when somebody's being genuinely nice to you,
he was not.
It's pretty easy to be nice back, and be like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked because it kind of tarnished that, but then she was amazing. Like, she was sitting talking. Although it's one of those things as a single dude, one dude, it's just kind of like, this could go either way, man.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in front of me. I was like, oh, dude, you're a creeper, man. It's like, I'm afraid to see what you have hanging up in your house. Right? It's like, all I can think of is, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting here because there's not a club. And I feel like we're kind of losing out a little bit. I wish there was one downtown. Like, I wish somebody would just invest and build one downtown.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, like I said during our show the other night, and I pretty much say anytime I do a show here, the last few years, is just like it's great that Knoxville finally has a little scene that's kind of built itself up.
Yeah,
they had that Comedy Zone for a while, and then Side Splitters took it over. But they're kind of jokes of clubs, and they don't. It's a lot of they don't pull in the best talent, let's say.
And it was too far out west. Like, it was like, I don't want to drive 35, 40 minutes.
Sure.
To go see that. And also because you have to drink. I was like, and have to drink and then get back in my car and drive 40 minutes back.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if someplace downtown would kind of open.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, I don't want to take stuff away from like Central Collective and Scruffy
or
and
Pilot Light,
or places like that that have been cool to comics and have let them do shows there.
Yeah,
like
true.
Central Collective. I mean, Dalen and Sean have been so cool to me.
Yeah,
from the get-go.
You and Billy Wayne Davis, and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. Ben Kronberg came through there, and he was great. And apparently, Ben was thinking about coming to Knoxville and looking for a spot, and Billy was the one who DM'd him and said, you need to go here because they're awesome.
Yeah, I got a hold of Billy Wayne. He's the one that hooked me up with him because, I'd done Side Splitters a couple times, and I mean, that is what it is. It was just like, I worked with a couple comics that were just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then saw Billy Wayne was doing a show at Central Collective, and I immediately hit him up and was like, hey, give me their info because, my folks live there now.
Yeah.
And so then that's how I hooked up with them. And like I said, they've been so cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't
the last time Billy Wayne came through, it was the time before. Last time he came through, he played at the Pilot Lot, but the time before, I wish he would have recorded it because he did 20 minutes, 25 minutes off the cuff talking about Kenjo.
Dude, you're like the third person that's told me
and
about
it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it, nobody recorded that. Damn it. I want to like hear that again. Because a guy that he went to college with, Russ Torbett, is one of my close friends. He was sitting in the back. And Russ, in the middle of his set, in the middle of his rant about Kenjo, texted him the old logo. And he felt it buzzing. He's like, what the he's like, oh my God, that's so much worse. Like, that's so much. And Russ is just sitting there, was like, all you heard was Russ in the back go, yep. Like,
if you're not familiar with Knoxville, look up the Kenjo convenience store.
It is rough.
Yeah.
It is rough. But yeah, Central Collective and Pilot Light. Like, the Pilot Light has brought in a lot of great people.
Yeah.
I've gotten to see Ryan Singer a bunch there.
Oh, that's awesome.
W. Kamal Bell came through one time, and it was completely sold out and packed.
At Pilot Light?
At the Pilot Light.
Wow.
And I think they said about 75 to 80 people seated.
Yeah.
And that was packed.
That's being generous.
Yeah. And that
I
was...
mean, that's counting those booths on the
yes,
side.
yeah. And it was packed for him. And I just remember there was somebody in the front row that kept texting. Now, this is a sold-out show.
Right.
And he said, why are you texting? She was like, I have to tell people that you're here. And he was like, I'm already halfway through my show, and it's sold out.
Yeah.
It's good. Like that. And she wouldn't stop texting. I was like, hey, you want me to throw her out? I can get her out of here. Like, it was crazy. And then when I walked up to him at the end, he's like, finally a normal sized person. And then in the photo, he's like, he was on his tippy toes. He's like, you need to tell people I'm on my tippy toes in this photo. Like, he was the nicest guy in the world. Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great ones come through there. And I think Dale and Sean, if they could, yeah, they would book a lot more if they could.
I tell comics about them. The Central Collective is where I tell them, if they want to come through Knoxville, get a hold of them, because it's just, it's perfect. And it's bring your own beer. Yeah. So people don't have to worry about buying drinks there and stuff.
No
they can roll
cover.
with their own,
no minimums.
Right. Yeah, man. And they keep, ticket prices are like $10.
Yeah.
We keep it at like $10.
Yeah.
And seats like, what would you say, 50, 60 in there?
50 to 60, yeah.
And it's perfect.
Yeah.
They've got that back room. Bathrooms are nice. So, if you have a bathroom situation, that's always one thing that I look for in my older years now is like, hey, look, if I have to take a shit, I want a good spot to take a shit.
So a week before you all were there, I held a benefit concert there.
Oh, cool.
And I came in like 2 days before to drop something off, and nobody was there. And the bathroom door was wide open. I looked in there, and there was no toilet. And I was like, what? I hope they fix this before the show.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell we're going to do. And I almost texted Sean a picture. I was like, what the fuck? What up? What the? I was like, do you need me to come and fix it? And he was like, no, we got it. It's being fixed. It's like, okay. It's like, don't scare me like that, man. It's 2 days for the show that we've worked our asses off to put on. But yeah, it's a great venue. Are you finding more like, I hate using the term alternative, but oddball spaces as you tour, like, or is it still mainly
something that I look for and something that I like doing? I mean, I'm just as comfortable doing clubs.
Okay.
So
across the country,
club, I want to do the club and find out what that club is like.
Right.
And then if it's not, like, Houston's a good example. The Houston comedy scene, the bottom fell out of it. And all the clubs disappeared. Laugh Stop disappeared, and the other ones. And then there's one there now. The guy owns that one and has a sister club in Minneapolis.
Okay.
But he doesn't pay well, and he's not awesome. So the secret group in Houston was started by a couple of comics. And they do music and comedy, and they have like 3 different spaces. They've got a little black box and a bigger room, and then they do shows on their roof.
Okay.
And so that's where I did last time, and then doing in January.
Okay.
Again.
I know there's a lot of comedians who like smaller rooms versus bigger rooms. Like, I've heard some talk about, like, well, they seat 700 and that's way too many people. Yeah. Like, are you a big believer in that, or like the Todd Glass thing of
that's like, hey man, if you can fill 700, word.
Yeah.
You know, but the reality is the majority of our shows are in smaller venues. And so yeah, I mean, I like doing them. Like, I've got an album that's coming out in the next couple months, and we recorded it at Creep Records in Philly.
Okay.
And it's a little 40 seat, 40, 50 seat.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just like the feel of that, you know?
Yeah.
Now, playing a 1,000-seat theater is fun.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not the reality. You're not,
Yeah.
I'm not playing 1,000-seat theaters every night.
Yeah.
You know, the majority of places I'm playing are the size of, you know,
the Central Collective
or something like that. You know?
It just blows my mind, all these people, like, I think it's Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, yeah.
Is selling out like Madison Square Garden for like 10 days in a row or something.
Dude. Yeah. So when I was recording my album in Philly, so Chad Daniels was there that weekend at Punchline, which seats 300. Josh Wolf was at Helium, which seats about 300. And then Sebastian Maniscalco was doing the Wells Fargo Center, which seats 20,000.
Yeah.
And he was doing multiple shows because they started selling out. Or no, wait. Was it Wells Fargo or the Link? He might have been doing the football field. Which, I mean, Kevin Hart sold out that football stadium in 2 seconds because he's from Philly.
Yeah.
But then that's where he filmed one of that concert movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's just not...
It's
that's why I liked Chappelle's series of specials, because he had that one in Austin at the Austin Music Hall at that big venue.
Yeah.
And then he had another one at the Belly Room at the Comedy Store in LA, which I've played that room. If anybody's been to that room, it's teeny.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's low ceiling, doesn't seat that many people, has a funky, weird side area, you know. But it's just... So that's the majority of shows you're doing. That's the reality. So it was really cool for him to do that. So real comedy fans could see, you know, the dynamic between the two.
Yeah. Between
playing a huge room and then playing a room where you're just pretty much, it's like sitting there at dinner with somebody and talking to them.
It blows my mind because it feels like a lot of the bigger venues, it's when you're from the fan perspective, it's like, I'm just looking at a monitor.
Yeah.
Like, because the person is teeny tiny up there. Like,
well, and that's weird for me. Like, we did the Lemon Haze Cannabis Conference.
Okay.
In October, I did that with Doug, and Jessie Mae Peluso was there.
She's awesome.
Yeah. I love her. So yeah, that was like a big 700 to 800 seat room. And so you're standing up on stage, and I was looking out in the crowd, and I'd forgotten about the screens on each side.
Yeah.
And so people are looking at the screens, and I'm looking out in the crowd like, why aren't they looking at me?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, they are. They're just looking at the much bigger version of me on that screen.
That's Did you then start adjusting, like starting to do like
bigger hand gestures and stuff, emoting?
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey man, as long as they're laughing, I guess who cares at that point? But yeah, it's still a little weird, you know.
She's another great one that I don't think a lot of people know about. That I remember I told her, because I'm a big fan of her podcast, and like her first podcast, the first 10 minutes she talked about like bleaching her asshole or something. And I told Dale, I was like, you need to listen to her. Because I think you would die laughing. Because at the end of the 10-minute mark, she was like, did I really just talk about bleaching my asshole for 10 minutes? Maybe we should start the show like that. And then it just kicked right in the show. It's a weird thing because now with like, this may be a stupid question. Do you have a podcast?
I don't. No.
Okay. I tried looking it up. I was like, I don't think you do. Okay. Have you thought about, like, it seems to be so flooded now, but.
Yeah, but it's still like, I mean, you know, because I have friends that have done really well with them, you know, like I know the last podcast on the Left guys, I know all them.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Skanks, Legion of Skanks dudes. I'm familiar with Big J.
Big J's amazing.
Know? And, so yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I'm gonna pitch an idea to the Gas Digital guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That we just talked about for like half a second the other night.
Yeah.
When I was hanging out over there.
Okay.
When they were doing the SDR podcast.
Okay.
I went and hung out, and then just mentioned something to Big J briefly.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want to
jinx it or anything.
Right.
It's weird because there's also some that I love their podcasts, but I've seen them live, and it's kind of disappointing. I was like, oh, damn it, you're really good at the podcasting stuff, but your stand-up is still kind of new or kind of rough.
Yeah. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, I know.
That's how it's going to be, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why some guys are writers and other guys are performers, you know?
Yeah. But it is wild because the podcasting world's really opened me up to just like, you know, now I'm blanking. I love the 80s and all those, and Tough Crowd opened me up. At Midnight was another big one. Like I probably would have never heard of Jesse May had it not been for At Midnight. Yeah, At Midnight, and now podcasting. It seems like even more. Like I went and saw Adam Ray in Chicago. I'm trying to hit every baseball stadium in the country. I went on a tour of Cleveland, Detroit, and Chicago for baseball like a year and a half ago. And I saw Adam Ray was performing in Chicago on the night I was getting there. I was like, screw it. I'm going early so I can go see him perform live. And I went and saw him. There was a damn wedding bachelorette crowd there. And I was like, this is the joke that there's a bachelorette party here.
Yeah.
And here it is. And the mom is here and they've got dildos on the table. And the mom, I think at one point picked up and throated a dildo. Oh, jeez. And Adam was just like, this is
beautiful.
Insane.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And, but after the show, when I walked out, he was standing there with the two other guys. One guy who opened for him and one guy who played piano and performed a little bit with him. And the guy handed me an About Last Night card, like, make sure you listen to this podcast. I was like, no, dumbass, that's why I'm here. It's like, he was like, oh. I was like that. And then I told him,
that's the only reason I'm here.
I was like, I would never have seen this or anything. I heard him promote it while I was on my way to Chicago or on my way to Detroit.
That's funny.
And he was just like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, that's why I'm here. And he was like, oh shit, wait, you came from Detroit? I was like, yeah. I was like, I actually came from Knoxville, Tennessee. He was like, what the shit? And I was like, dude, don't worry about it. I was like, I'm on a baseball road trip, man. It doesn't matter. And he's like, okay, well, thanks for coming.
But isn't that a trip? And that bachelorette party, you know, none of them listened to that podcast or knew it. They just randomly.
Yeah. They were just randomly there.
Yeah.
It was also the night of the McGregor
Habib fight?
No.
Nate Diaz?
No, boxing.
Oh, the boxing one with the Floyd
Mayweather.
Yeah.
Because the Airbnb I stayed at, the ceiling came up to here, right below my nose. So I hit my head a lot that night. A lot of CTE happening that night. And but the guy was like, I'm going to watch the fight and I'm going to have a bunch of people over going to drink beer if you want to watch it. I was like, I really want to go see this comedian. And because it was not that crowded in there, I was like, you're taking a hit for playing this night. And he was like, yeah, I know. He's like, I'd booked this out so far in advance that I didn't know. And I was like, sorry, I'm here. And then when I got back to the Airbnb, the fight was only in like the second or third round. The dude was like, come on. And like he was freaking out. He's like, come on. He had a fucking giant pull down big screen. Like,
nice.
Like it was crazy. Anyway, it's interesting seeing people performing in a bigger space. Like, what is the one? I can never remember what it's called. The Zanies in Chicago, the one in Rosemont. Like it looked like a big old Las Vegas venue because of how it's built out. And it was the same thing when I saw Kyle Kinane here at Side Splitters when it wasn't full. And I felt bad. Like I was just like, both him and Adam Ray, I'm like, you're too good a comedian for this not to be packed out. It's like, this really kind of bums me out.
Yeah, man. But that's the thing is like, you know, I'll have non-comedy people ask me who my favorite comedians are, and it's like, you're not going to know any of them.
No.
You know?
No. And one of my favorites is Jimmy Pardo.
Yeah, Jimmy Pardo's so good.
It's never not funny. And I have went to see him in Nashville a few times, and I try to get people to go with me. I was like, it's going to sell out, and it always does.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you got to trust me, that is one of the hardest you'll ever laugh in a room.
Yeah, man.
And it's,
I mean, there's just a ton of dudes out there that are so funny that nobody's like Robert Hawkins. You ever heard of him?
No, I don't think I have.
And he's one of the funniest dudes out there. Eddie Gosling.
I have heard that name.
Yeah.
I have heard him on a podcast, I think.
Oh, okay, good.
I recognize that. Well, Ryan Gosling. I recognize Robert Hawkins.
Robert Hawkins.
Okay.
Hawk, INS. But Robert Hawkins wrote for Ron White for a long time, you know, and you know, would open up for him on theaters and stuff, and then was actually a writer on the first Chris Titus sitcom.
Okay.
And played his wife's crazy brother on a few of the episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robert Hawkins is one of the funniest stand-up comics in the entire world. And nobody knows who he is, which is a shame.
Okay.
Such a shame. But I think his albums are on Spotify now, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Smacking Kittens, and then I forgot what the other one is called.
I will say Titus has developed such a following here. He comes every year and plays the Bijou.
Oh, really?
Sells it out every year.
Man, to dream.
And
I would love to play the Bijou.
And he does a meet and greet after.
Oh,
and he's gotten to a point where he recognized me. He's like, okay, man, let's do another weird. He decided we need to take weird photos together. So one, we're back to back like cops. And he was like, yeah, okay, we're going to look like cops. And then the next week he was like, okay, the next year he was like, okay, now hold me by the back of my shirt like I was making fun of your beard the entire show. Every year he comes up with something weird.
That's awesome.
For us to take a photo. It's like, holy shit, how the fuck do you remember? Like, you were going and playing
for real
all the time, and you remember that you want to take a weird photo with me. Like, he doesn't do it with anybody else. It's so funny.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting here. Like, I think Aziz just came and played the Tennessee, and then did a smaller Bijou show to work out some material.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not long ago. I wish we could get more here. But I wish, what you're saying is right. I wish we get more people at Central Collective or Power.
Yeah, man.
Honors.
And Scruffy is a big enough venue, you know, because that seat's probably, 200-300 if you fill it up, maybe.
I don't think that much.
Yeah. See, so that's like, I mean, I'd just love to fill up Scruffy.
Yeah.
You know?
I would say
the balcony and the
150 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in there when they've done film screenings, when they actually put seats out.
Yeah.
And I think it gets a lot smaller once you put seats in. I think for bands and stuff, you can cram more people in there.
Yeah, for sure.
But once you put seats, yeah. I'd like to see more here. In Brooklyn, are they doing more like smaller shows, or is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, they have those certain venues, you know, like Knitting Factory.
Yeah.
Probably seats about 150.
Okay.
Bell House seats a couple hundred. Littlefield probably seats 200.
Okay.
But then there's like Union Hall, the place you were talking about with the fancy couches.
Yeah.
That place only seats, maybe 50, 60.
That still blows my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's still plenty of little venues, but
smaller venues,
but good venues, you know. It's not just some bar.
Okay.
You know, there's actually like a performance room.
Do you work out material more on the road, or do you kind of do it around town?
It depends on when it comes to me.
Okay.
You know, and how much I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, for the most part, yeah, you know, at little bar shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But then like when I was going to Philly to record that album, you know, on the bus ride down there, I thought of a whole nother chunk for one particular joke.
Okay.
And was like, ooh.
Yeah.
No, I like this. So when you hear it, when the album comes out, when you hear that joke, either the first or second time that I told it, depending on which show I took it from. I don't remember which show I took it from.
It's awesome.
But it was part of a joke,
Okay.
So it had, a lead up to it,
right.
and then that new part,
yeah,
and then it just kind of wing it. And I mean, that's fun sometimes too, especially if like if you like the idea and where you want to go with it immediately and play with it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Okay, I'm going to get you out here, but I'm going, do you remember the first comedy album you ever owned? Tape, cassette, whatever.
Owned?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. The first one I ever owned, not the first one I ever listened to.
Okay.
But the first one I ever owned was a Christian comic.
Okay.
It was Mike Warnke, a guy named Mike Warnke, who since has turned out to be just a total scumbag.
Big shocker.
Yeah, but it was given to me by a youth pastor when we were living in Philadelphia that, it was basically his testimony. It was just kind of the story of his life that he had punched up. And so that was the first one that I owned. But then, this is so bad too now. But my grandparents here, they had Bill Cosby albums.
Yeah.
And so we'd listen to Bill Cosby.
My first ever one that I bought with my own money was a Best of Bill Cosby tape.
Yeah.
And it's weird because that's what started me kind of getting into comedy.
Yeah.
And now he who shall not be named. Yeah.
Dude. Dude. I mean, a lot of our worlds just came crashing in and on us, and it was just like, well, there goes that.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Although on the flip side, my parents would let me watch. They would go out and party or whatever on New Year's Eve night, but HBO would always show back to back comedy specials New Year's Eve night. So they would just set up a VCR and record 6 hours of comedy.
Yeah.
And it was all the Rodney Dangerfield young comedian specials, Robin Williams live at the Met, all those specials. And so they would let me watch those.
Yeah.
When I was way too young. Like I remember when I was a little kid asking my mom what the C word was because I heard it in a Robin Williams. He said it and I turned around and was like, Mom, what's that? And she's like, no. Don't ever say that word again. Don't ever say that word. I was like, but what is it? And she's like, it's a grown up word. You don't worry about that word. It's like, okay.
Plus, like Richard Pryor. The first time I listened to a Richard Pryor album, I didn't get half the jokes.
Oh yeah,
because I was a kid.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things. Like the older you get, and the more you listen to him, the more you get. You're like, that's funny
what
to me now.
Yeah, the Robin Williams stuff. He was so fast, and he would make such weird references. Like I still remember, he opened up that one at the Met. He was like, "Do you think Pavarotti's at the punchline, stand up there going, 2 Jews walk into a bar," like that.
Right.
And like when I'm older, I'm like, now I know who Pavarotti is. Now I get that joke. At like 12.
Yeah. But I still love listening to some of those albums. Man. Some of those old albums are great. Some of those old Bob Newhart albums.
Bob Newhart, the fact that he wasn't a comedian, he was just an ad exec, and it still blows my mind.
Super funny.
And I will say the one thing, I've been to the Comedy Cellar one time. Mm-hmm. Did not have a great experience there because I was shoved in a corner.
Okay.
To where I couldn't really see.
Yeah.
And the wait staff was awful. They were so short and curt, and it was me and another dude who I just met stand outside waiting on in case people's tickets fell through.
Right.
They decided to cancel at the last minute. There's some other dude now that showed up early to see if we could get tickets. And they're like, well, we'll see. And the security guy was kind of nice, and he was like, you're usually going to get in here. You two are the first two. We're both just like comedy nerds and just standing there bullshitting. And all of a sudden, this guy behind us said, "Excuse me, sirs." And I turned around, it was fucking David Tell. And I about just went, dude, I know you're going to be very uncomfortable, but I'm just going to hug you, man. Like, I love you so much. I've listened to Skanks for the Memories so many times.
And it's amazing that that's still his only album.
I know. It hurts my brain. He did have one Comedy Central special, Captain Miserable.
Yeah.
Which
and then he had an HBO one, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've seen that, and I've watched Bumpy Mike's. But I just freaked out. I was like, that's Dave fucking Attell.
He's so great. He's awesome. And he's always around there. Yeah, he's not a very social dude.
No.
But he will say, hey, he deals with it. He deals with it.
Yeah.
He's a great dude.
And now I'm blanking on his name. The other, Tom Rhodes. Tom Rhodes was there too. And when I left, him and Tom Rhodes were standing on the corner just BS. And I almost just went up to him and said, I know y'all don't know me, but I have listened to you two guys so much in my life. Like, thank you. Like, and I'm going to walk away. Yeah. Just thank you.
Tom was one of the first guys I got to work with too in Austin. And we were sitting at the bar at the club and, introed. And then, there was silence for a couple seconds. And then he just looked at me and goes, so, what's the drug situation in this town?
That's awesome. That was an interesting night because it was some dude's workout show on like a Sunday night, and everybody just did like 10 minutes. And I went mainly because Ari Shafir was there.
Okay.
I was like, I think the earlier show was okay, but the later show, and Attell got up there and did like 10 minutes. They kept trying to get Rhodes to go up there and do 10. I was like, yes, please. Yes. This is the only time I'm in this damn place, man. Right. Come on, man. Get on up there. And he would not do it. But I got to see Attell perform at the Comedy Cellar, which was great, man. Which was awesome. On. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay.